have a few words from our sponsor.
And the mic on!
Shut up. Put your hearing aid in.
I can't reach. No, don't. It's fine. I don't need that. Just a few words. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for joining us this evening. Tom mentioned a while ago that he'd like to have an evening of radical songs and spoken word, which we thought was an absolutely brilliant idea. And that's why we've had this Radical Voices Week. Tom asked if I'd like a spot this evening. I politely declined, and I hope these two lines by Samuel Taylor Coleridge will explain why. Swans sing before they die, 'twere no bad thing, should certain persons die before they sing.
Should I take that personally?
There are song sheets behind the bar. We are really looking forward to this evening. Thank you again for joining us all. Ladies and gentlemen, your host for the evening, Mr. Tom Kelly.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, my adoring public. Thank you so much. It's good to see so many people out. I think, to be quite honest, we're probably going to have to postpone the revolution, though, if this is the best we can do. But we'll do with that, you know. I'm going to start with a small public health warning. As you know, I've been singing for an awful long time. And a couple of years ago, we were doing a gig. It was me and the RX Shandymen. And we received a complaint that we happened to be singing a song about slavery, and we were accused of seeking to publicise and support slavery. So I want to make it perfectly clear tonight that we are singing songs about the world and about the people. The songs will probably have a leftist tinge. If you're not prepared for that, then at least I'm telling you now, so you can, either sit back and heckle or do whatever you like. So anyway, that's the health warning. We have actually got a fabulous lineup for you tonight. We've got Northern Nick, he's a performance poet. I call him that. I don't know what you call yourself, is it?
A monologist.
Oh, Jesus. Performance poet's easier to say. And I've been around a long time and I've seen most of them. This bloke is up there with the best of them. He's fabulous. We've got Tony Borelli, King Size Slim. There's nothing to be said apart from, in my money, he's the best live performer that you'll see anywhere. We've got Jason McNiff. Well, we think we've got Jason McNiff. We may or may not.
It's under the table.
And we've got some great guest singers. We've got David Wolfe. We've got Bob Titler. We've got John Rebel. Is there anybody else I've forgotten? It's on my list here, but I can't be seen reading them off of the script. This is the man here. We have here Nick Dent. All right. Nick's a good mate, and he's going to be popping up from time to time, doing some kind of readings, basically, to concentrate our thoughts, some pithy comments. And just in case anybody wonders who the hell he is the author of the seminal work on Jean-Jacques Rousseau. It is still even now in the university syllabus for philosophy students. So he knows what he's talking about. And he's a nice bloke as well. So anyway, I think we're going to start off with Northern Nick. Ooh. What we're going to try and do tonight is, initially, just run you through some of the significant moments in British political social history. This isn't any kind of lesson or anything at all like that. Basically, we've just tried to find some handles for some songs or some performance pieces. We've probably left out more of the bits that you'd like to see, I don't know. Peterloo would have been an obvious thing this year. Searched long and hard, but there's a whole book full of songs about Peterloo. But I have to say, actually, because of the language they were written in at the time, they would make fabulous adverts for the Brexit Party. and I'm just not prepared to sing it in case it gives other people ideas. Okay, so you know there are lots of things that we've left out, but we put. So we're going to go right back to the start of things now, because I couldn't find the song about Magna Carta. So Nick's going to do a monologue about Magna Carta. Over to you, mate.
Thank you, Tom. Good evening, guys. My name's Northern Nick, as Tom already said. I write monologues and perform monologues of my own, and I also do other people's if I like the monologue. And the first one I'm going to do tonight is one by a chap called George Marriott Edgar. And he were around in the 1930s, and he wrote the Albert and the Lion series you may have heard of. And he also wrote one called the Magna Charta. And that's the first one I'm going to do tonight. And I hope it goes something like this. I'll tell of the Magna Charta, as was signed at the Baron's command, on Runnymede Island, in middle at Thames, by King John, as known as Lackland. Some say it were wrong of the barons, their will on the king so to thrust. But you'll see if you look at both sides of the case, they had to do summat to bust. For John, the moment they crowned him, started acting so cunning and sly. But being king, of course, he couldn't do wrong. But by gummy, he'd a proper good try. He squandered the ratepayers' money. All their cattle and corn did he take, till there weren't a morsel of bread in the land, and folk had to manage on cake. The way he behaved to young Arthur went to show as his feelings was bad. He tried to get Hubert to poke out his eyes, which is no way to treat a young lad. He were all right as being a tyrant to vassals and folks of that class, but he tried on his tricks with barons and all, and that's where he made a faux pas. He started bombarding their castles and burning them over the head, till there weren't enough castles left to go round, and they had to sleep six to a bed. So they went to the king in a body. Their spokesman, Fitzwalter by name, he opened Thole in his helmet and said, conciliatory like, what's the game? Well, the king starts to shilly and shally. He sits and he hauls and he hums, till barons enraged start gnashing the teeth. And then when the teeth gnash the gums. Said Fitz through the hole in his helmet, 'twas you who put us in this plight. And King, having nothing to say to this, says, leave your address and I'll write. This angered the gallant Fitzwalter. He stamped on the floor with his foot. He started getting John a rare ticking off, when Thole in his helmet fell shut. We'll get him a Magna Charta, said Fitz when his face he had freed. Said Barons, aye, that's right, and if one's not enough, get a couple and happen they'll breed. So they set about making a charter. At finish, when they got it drawn up, it looked like a paper on cattle disease, or entries at Waterloo Cup. Next day, King unsuspecting, and having the afternoon free, to Runnymede Island and taking a boat, and having some shrimps for his tea. He just pulled head off a big un, and was pinching its tail with his thumb, when up came a barge load of barons who said, we thought you'd be here, so we've come. When they told him they brought Magna Carta, King seemed to go kind of limp, but minding his manners, he took off his hat and said, thanks very much, have a shrimp. You best sign at once, said Fitzwalter. If you don't, I shall tell you for a start, the next coronation will happen quite soon, and you won't be there to take part. So they spread charter out on tea table, and John signed his name like a lamb. In places his writing was sticky and thick, through dipping his pen in the jam. And it's through that there Magna Charta, as was signed by the barons of old, that in England today we can do what we like, so long as we do what we're told. Thank you, the Magna Carta.
See, I told you it was good, didn't I? Brilliant. We're going to start now with young Nick. He's going to give us something deep and meaningful to focus our minds.
The evening's full of Nicks. There's Northern Nick we've just heard, Nick and Nicola, our hosts, and I'm Poncy Southern Nick.
They're all Poncy
I
Southern.
didn't say that.
You
I
bloody did. Let it never be said that we show any bias, so I begin with some well-known words of Margaret Thatcher's. There is no such thing as society. There are individual men and women, and there are families. And no government can do anything except through the people, and people must look to themselves. It's our duty to look after ourselves and then to look after our neighbour. That's the end of her. Who are these unencumbered individuals, untrammelled by place and circumstance? These words of Tolstoy's rather better capture the situation of most of us. I sit on a man's back, choking him and making him carry me, and yet I assure myself that I'm very sorry for him and wish to ease his lot by every possible means, except by getting off his back.
Well said, mate. Right, that's the preaching over for a bit. Nick mentioned song sheets. I hope you've got them because you know the choruses and stuff we're going to do is in there. At this stage, given now that you've had a couple of bits, I thought perhaps if you don't really like what's going on and you want to slide off, perhaps if I gave you some kind of précis of what the evening's about, or perhaps even if you do halfway through just want to go, at least you'll be able to tell your mates what it was all about. And so what we've tried to do is to fit it into the tune of that lovely old musical song, It's the Rich What Gets the Pleasure. Okay, and I don't know if you have a song sheet. I think it's not one of the most complex songs. It's number one. So if we start with the chorus, then we'll all get the tune, because at the moment, if I try and start the tune, I just cannot remember how it starts the tune. So I'll sing the chorus, and please all join in, yeah? Oh, it's the same the whole world over, ever since the world began. It's the rich what gets the pleasure, and the poor what gets the blame. Now tonight, you'll hear some extracts from the centuries of woe about the struggle of the people and the meanness of their foe. Oh, it's the same the whole world over, ever since the world began. It's the rich what gets the pleasure, and the poor what gets the blame. If there's one thing that's bloody obvious from the contents of this show, it's that despite a lot of progress, there's still a long, long way to go. Oh, it's the same the whole world over, ever since the world began. It's the rich what gets the pleasure, and the poor what gets the blame. So now you know what the evening's all about. Right. Thank you. You are very kind. You're very kind. It's, we're going to start now on this little kind of whistle-stop tour of what we think are significant events throughout our history. Nick's going to start with a reading from some Civil War stuff. Sorry, from some the Revolution. I refuse to call it the Civil War. It's the English Revolution. Go on, carry on.
Well, as a preface, Tom's going to be singing us some songs from the Civil War. No, the Revolution. I don't know.
Good man.
And as a preface to that, there are two passages from the Levellers, not the group. But, anyway, the first one, William Walwyn, and this is 1649. View them well in their apparel, their diet, their furniture, even in these sad and miserable times, and then say whether their silks, their fine and delicate linen, their laces, their plushes, fancies, plates, rings and jewels do not demonstrate from what root they are, that they are mere worldlings indeed, and Christians only in name and tongue. And now the most memorable of words from that time, Thomas Rainbow, 1647. Really I think the poorest he that is in England hath a life to lead as the greatest he. And therefore truly, sir, I think it's clear that every man that is to live under a government ought first by his own consent to put himself under that government.
Well said. Well, really good back. Now, this is going to be a little bit preachy, but the Putney debates are one of the least known wonderful pieces of history that this country has ever produced. Okay, and they were debates within, as you know, within the Revolutionary Army and with the government as to what shape the world, certainly this country, should take for some years. And if you look at the next couple of 100 years of social history and political stuff, you'll find that the messages were exactly the same. It's absolutely an incredible, incredible piece of stuff. So we're going to sing you a song now about the Levellers. It was. I should point out first of all that hearing me sing it is bad enough. Okay, so I've got this fabulous guitar player, a young Swerve. He's way. And so, whilst he's composing himself, the song was written by a bloke called Leon Rosselson in the 70s, based on stuff written by Gerard Winstanley, who was the leader of the Diggers, which is a kind of offshoot of the Levellers, for want of a better term. But there is a song which is based completely on Winstanley's missive, but it goes on forever, and it bores the arse off you after about 2 or 3 minutes, you know. So although it's wonderful, I tend not to sing it that much. So as I said, we'll do Leon Rosselson's version. This is the one that was done by Billy Bragg. By the way, it was called The World Turned Upside Down. Just let me compose myself, my dear, please. All right. In 1649 to St George's Hill, a ragged band they called the Diggers came to show the people's will. They defied the landlords, they defied the laws. They were the dispossessed reclaiming what was theirs. We come in peace, they said, to dig and sow. We come to work the land in common and to make the great ground grow. This earth divided we will make whole, so it will be a common treasury for all. The sin of property we do disdain. No one has any right to buy and sell the earth for private gain. By theft and murder they took the land, and now the walls rise up everywhere at their command. They make the laws to chain us well. The clergy dazzle us with heaven and they damn us into hell. We will not worship the God they serve, the God of greed who feeds the rich while poor folks starve. We work, we eat together, we need no swords. We will not bow to the masters or pay rent to the lords, for we are free men, though we are poor. You diggers all stand up for glory, stand up now. From the men of property, the order came. They sent their hired men and troopers to wipe out the diggers' claim, tear down their cottages, destroy their corn. They were dispersed, only their vision lingers on. You poor take courage, you rich take care. This earth was made a common treasury for everyone to share. All things in common, all people one. We come in peace, the order came to cut them down. There you go, thank you very much. I won't try and claim any reason for me making the balls up on a couple of the bits of verse there. Apart from the fact I should point out I have a new set of dentures in this evening. Honest, for a singer that's quite a significant event. And they're glued in. Perhaps not quite as well as they might have been. Anyway, so that's the revolution. Sorted out, really.
Job done.
Yeah. The next thing we've decided to light on are the Chartists. Kind of early part, first half of the 19th century. Again, based around franchise, but also the condition of the working people. And this is a very, very short song. And it's called the Chartist Anthem, and it was taken from a Chartist manuscript in 1844. There is a chorus on this, and it's in the song sheet. It's number.
Repeat the last line of the verse.
Thank you, John. What a good one. Now try and remember that, all right? Yes. Just control yourself. Right. 100 years, 1,000 years, we're marching on the road. Our going isn't easy yet, we've got a heavy load. Oh, we've got a heavy load. Our way is blind with blood and sweat, and death sings in our ears. But time is marching on our side, we will defeat the years. Oh, we will defeat the years. We men of bone, of shrunken shank, our only treasure doth. Women who carry at their breast heirs to the hungry earth. Oh, heirs to the hungry earth. Speak with one voice, we march, we rest, and march again upon the years. Sons of our sons are listening to hear the Chartist cheers. Oh, to hear the Chartist cheers. There's the Chartist for you. Oh, thank you. Probably those of the people amongst us that like a bit of history will have appreciated the fact we've covered best part of 600 years. One monologue and a couple of songs. So actually, at this rate, Christ almighty, we'll all be home in bed by 9 o'clock.
Landlord says we won't.
Lock the door.
Yeah. One of my particularly, I don't know why, it always has been since I was a kid, is the Tulpa Mars. I don't know why, but I love them. Love them. And there's a wonderful song, which is number 3 on the song sheet, the Tulpa Mars song, written by a fabulous singer called Graham Moore. If you ever get the chance to go and see Graham, then do so. He has a great deal to say about the world as it was and about the world as it is. So it's just committed me head. The people like me that sing these kind of songs, we used to be called protest singers, yeah? In the time of Bob Dylan and this, that and the other. It's not really an appropriate definition, I don't think, for what we do. And I was talking one evening with a fellow performer, and we were discussing this very thing, and we said about, no, they're not protest songs, you know. And he said, well, what I call them, Tom, he said, are songs of social significance. And I thought, bloody hell. It really, really sounds the biz, that. Okay, so that's now what I sing. I sing songs of social significance. And you coming out tonight to listen to an evening of songs of social significance, it's as good as going to the opera, isn't it? You can tell with mates, no, we weren't up at the stage drinking and singing all these songs. We were at an evening of songs of social significance. It's wonderful. Anyway, this is another one. I'll start with the chorus to give you a chance to exercise your vocal cords, but also again just to remind me of the tune. They can bring down our wages, starve all our children. In chains they can bind us and steal all our land. They can mock our religion, from our families divide us, but they can't break the oath of a tall puddle man. Farewell to my family, it's now I must leave you, though that far fabled shore in chains we shall see. Although we are taken, do not be mistaken, for as brothers in union we shall be free. They can bring down our wages, starve all our children. In chains they can bind us and steal all our land. They can mock our religion, from our families divide us, but they can't break the oath of a tall puddle man. To those men who rule us, we are the dissenters. Do your duty, be thankful, don't complain, we are taught. For God in his wisdom has divided this kingdom, for the few to have much, while so many have naught. They can bring down our wages, starve all our children. In chains they can bind us and steal all our land. They can mock our religion, from our families divide us, but they can't break the oath of a tall puddle man. As brothers together, with an oath we shall bind us, the labouring men in all England shall rise. Though Frampton defames us, they shall never tame us. Oh, arise, men of Britain, you'll yet win the prize. They can bring down our wages, starve all our children. In chains they can bind us and steal all our land. They can mock our religion, from our families divide us, but they can't break the oath of a tall puddle man. Tall puddle man. Hey, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, sorry, I thought you were coming up and tell me to shut up or something.
Don't you dare.
Right, yeah. This next one, there was a wonderful song sung in the 60s by a fabulous singer called Shirley Collins, who's from down this way, she's from Lewes. And it was a traditional song then. And it's called The Rigs of Our Time, Rigs of the Time. And rigs basically means issues, problems, what's really getting up your nose about the way the world is. And it struck me on listening to it that actually, well, first of all, that things haven't changed that much, but it's some of the problems that we face today fall very, very neatly into the kind of the theme of the song. So I've taken Shirley's chorus and I've taken the tune, and I've rewritten the words, and the songs, this particular song is called Rigs of Our Time 2019. Again, we'll start with the chorus. You will have noticed that I do that quite a lot. It's because, as I said, you need to carry so much at the end. You know, right? Honest is all out of fashion. These are the rigs of the time, me boys. These are the rigs of the time. No wonder this world's in one hell of a mess, with the power of capital to cause such distress. The people are powerless, the unions are crushed. In naming the villains, we will not be hushed. Singing honest is all out of fashion. These are the rigs of the time, me boys. These are the rigs of the time. Now first to the bankers we must call a halt. They wrecked the economy and said it's our fault. Austerity's the price that we all must endure, while those bastards make sure their own future's secure. Singing honest is all out of fashion. These are the rigs of the time, me boys. These are the rigs of the time. So now to the Tories we must bring them in. They peddle the crap through which we all must swim, dismantling the welfare state's their stated aim, and we allow them to do it without any shame. Singing honest is all out of fashion. These are the rigs of the time, me boys. These are the rigs of the time. Now don't forget landlords, their hands are not clean. They're robbing their tenants and raking rents in. Social housing no longer does passions arouse, so the landlords continue to milk their cash cows. Singing honest is all out of fashion. These are the rigs of the time, me boys. These are the rigs of the time. So now to the media we must mention them. Objective reporting is their claim to fame. The stories they feed us praise the status quo as being the only way that things can go. Singing honest is all out of fashion. These are the rigs of the time, me boys. These are the rigs of the time. So now to us voters I must bring us in, for we are complicit in all of this sin. We elect rogues and scoundrels and let them hold sway. Unless we wake up, this is how things will stay. Singing honest is all out of fashion. These are the rigs of the time, me boys. These are the rigs of the time. Rigs of the Time 2000. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Well, yeah, I've totally lost my way in the programme now, so I should just quickly have a look and see where we are. Oh, it's Northern Nick again, mate. And this is a cracker, this one. I love it. Yeah.
Outside again.
Sorry, I said that to It's lucky I'm here.
Okay, this next monologue, well, or poem, whatever, a good mate of mine wrote it, and it's called 55 and Still Alive, and it's about the trials and tribulations of being born into the working class. And obviously he wrote it when he just turned 55. And let's hope it goes something like this. I'm 55 and still alive. I can't believe that I've survived. When I were born, they slapped my ass and said, welcome to the working class. You've NHS and welfare state. Now go to school and sit up straight. You need to learn to concentrate. Don't pick your nose, don't masturbate. We'll use your time to indoctrinate. When I left school, I was glad to be out. What the fuck was that about? Get a job, get poor pay. That's it, son, you're on your way. That's the way, work, rest and play. The years slip by, the beer goes down. You meet a girl and settle down. You buy a house, have some kids, still slaving for the company quids. Time passes quicker than a flying fuck. Friends pass on, and that's tough luck. All the while you struggle along the corridor of life once seemed so long. There's a light in the distance, a beacon of hope, shining through the swirling, choking smoke. As the image gets clearer, your eyes readjust, and a wizened old man appears from the dust.
You missed it.
He carries a sign which you barely read. It says, doomed all who enter, you'll never succeed. What's that you're selling? I humbly inquire. The secrets of life, would you like one, squire? Go on then, I say, just one little gem. He passed me a paper, there and then. It read, you pass this way, but once in time, a miracle of the seminal slime. Be kind to people, show a care, never hate, and always share. Have a love for all that's fun, banish gloom, and follow the sun. And if you adopt this simple mission, you won't be a banker or a politician, but a man of trust, a humble fellow, with a wealth of friends and a soul that's mellow. Contented in your transient state, resigned to your future fate, a baked bean on a cosmic plate, an insignificant reprobate. I'm 55 and still alive. I can't believe that I've survived. 55 and still alive. Thank you very much.
You like it?
Do you want to manifesto then? Do you want 10 minutes? Say the door if you don't. Yeah?
One or two.
Yeah, that's all right. Okay. Right, continuing our flit through history, we've now moved swiftly from the 1830s into the 1840s. 1848, publication of the Communist Manifesto, one of the most seminal dates in world history. I pass over here to the professor, who will...
Well, we're going to be seeing the red flag in a moment. So, from the Communist Manifesto. The bourgeoisie, wherever it has got the upper hand, has pitilessly torn aside those motley feudal ties that bound man to his natural superiors, and has left remaining no other nexus between man and man than naked self-interest, than callous cash payment. It has drowned the most heavenly ecstasies of religious fervour, of chivalrous enthusiasm, in the icy water of egoistical calculation. It has resolved personal worth into exchange value, and in place of numberless, indefeasible chartered freedoms, has set up that single unconscionable freedom, free trade. In one word, it has substituted naked, shameless, direct, brutal exploitation.
Well done. Thank you. Right, as Nick said, you'll find on the second page of your chorus sheets
I'm living that dream.
is an extract from the Red Flag. So I thought we'd all have a crack at singing it. It's as you said, it's only, right again, the Red Flag's a wonderful song, but it is somewhat interminable. So we've picked out 3 verses. And if we start at verse 1, not only because it's the beginning, but also it's the verse that most people know, and so it'll get you into the swing of it, yeah? So, on 3, children. Right. 1, 2, 3. The people's flag is deepest red, it's shrouded off our martyrs dead, and their limbs grew stiff and cold, their heart's blood died to every fold. Then raised the scarlet standard high, beneath its folds we'll live and die. Oh, cowards flinch and traitors sneer, we'll keep the red flag flying here. It well recalls the triumphs past, it gives the hope of peace at last. The banner bright, the symbol plain, of human rights and human gain. Then raise the scarlet standard high, beneath its folds we'll live and die. Though cowards flinch and traitors sneer, we'll keep the red flag flying here. With head uncovered swear we all, to bear it onward till we fall. Come dungeons dark or gallows grim, this song shall be our parting hymn. Then raise the scarlet standard high, beneath its folds we'll live and die. Though cowards flinch and traitors sneer, we'll keep the red flag flying here. Well sung, comrades, well done. Yes. Yes. Jason was due to be on next, but he's not here. Well, it's a long way to come to the Jenny, isn't it? Swerve, my good mate here, Mark Weaver, Swerve. Fabulous guitar player. Yeah, radical voice. And also excellent at getting his mates out of trouble when he needs them. So Swerve's going to do us a couple. Is it tunes or songs we've got, mate? Or both?
Songs.
Songs. Blimey. Do you want me to wave the red flag or whatever? Thank you for that, Nick. It was totally unexpected. That it was brilliant. It really was. Yeah. So what do you want? A couple?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Let's see what happens.
Yeah. It's always ominous when he says, let's see what happens.
Well, I don't really sing that much, but
But that's called getting your disclaimer in first, isn't it? Yeah.
but I normally sing with words in front of me. Exactly. I normally sing with words in front of me, but Tom said proper singers don't do it with words.
Yeah. Singing phrases.
Yeah. That's why I left my guitar out of tune for this song.
Just come
Make it long, Vision. I'll hold them up. You pick them up.
I swear I was going to do this song before the red flag happened. But, this is a song about flag waving, written by Tom Waits. He never wrote a protest song until George Bush Jr. came along. Anyway, let's see if it works. Well, I learned my trade from picking nose, sing Tom Shea. today. Hoist that rag. Hoist that rag. Hoist that rag. Hoist that rag. Well, the sun is up and the world is flat. Damn good address for a rat. The smell of blood and the drone of flies. Know what to do when the baby cries. Hoist that rag. Hoist that rag. Hoist that rag. Hoist that rag. Well, we stick our fingers in the ground, even turn the world around. Sun is blacking out the sun. At night I pray and I bring my gun. The cracked bell rings, the ghost bird sings. Gods go begging here, boys. So just open fire when you hit the ground. Open fire when you hit the shore. All is there in love and war. Hoist that rag. Hoist that rag. Hoist that rag. Hoist that rag. I can't really complain about my voice when you're doing Tom Waits songs, can you? Okay, this is a song by the Levellers the band, not the Levellers the movement. When it was like the 90s and all me and my mates, and we were just very much, when the criminal injustice bill got passed, we protested it, the Levellers forwarded it, they put up posters, we marched, we said everything, it went through everywhere. Anyway, it was a great lesson in protesting, to be honest. Anyway, this is the one we all sang that was kind of, I don't know, summed up the world at the time. Oh, this is where you start with choruses, isn't it?
Nice one.
When you get to my house, right, you get a bit.
Getting older, you don't get more.
Yeah, I can't do it. Right, one more. I'm not doing that song, and I can't. But I did print one off because I know you said don't use words. But a political song written in 1886 by Charles Corbin, who used to do the chorus in the musical in 9 languages, which shows what the makeup of musicals at the time was. You know, just anyway. Let's see if I can do this better. Strolling so happy down Bethnal Green, this gay youth you might have seen. Tomkins and I with his girl between, when oh what a surprise. I praised the Conservatives frank and free. Tomkins got angry so speedily. All in a moment he handed to me 2 lovely black eyes. 2 lovely black eyes. Oh, what a surprise! Only for telling a man he was wrong. 2 lovely black eyes. And now in German. Next time I argued, I thought it best. Give the Conservative side a rest. The merits of Gladstone I freely pressed. When oh, what a surprise. The chap I had met with was Tory true. Nothing the Liberal side could do. This was my share of that argument too. 2 lovely black eyes.
Only for telling a man he was wrong.
The moral you caught it, I hardly doubt. Never on politics rave and shout. Leave it to others to fight it out. If you would be wise, better, far better it is to let Liberals and Tories alone, you bet. Unless you're willing and anxious to get two lovely black eyes. Two lovely black eyes. Oh, what a surprise! Only for telling a man he was wrong. Two lovely black eyes.
Hey, thank you. Good man, Swerve. It's funny how something like they happen completely. That was one of the first songs my mother ever taught me. I'm not joking. No, honestly, it's taken me back years. Oh, it's fabulous. Still, you see I wiped away a tear there, Swerve. Oh yeah, right. We're going to have another one from Nick, and then when Nick's finished, we're going to have what you've all been waiting for. Like young Toby's going to come along, sing us some stuff. He is still here, isn't he? Anyway,
Tom, once they're here, I won't let them out.
that's all right. Yeah, yeah. It's right. This monologue Nick's going to do is about the gunpowder plot. Okay, and there's some people said it seems an odd thing to do. You know, radically in the gunpowder plot. You know, the
Pretty radical.
well, yeah, yeah. But, you know, it's like kind of in a kind of Islamic way. You know what I mean? But anyway, I'm going to do an introduction there because the prof's gone. Well, he ain't gone. He's sitting over there. And this is a quote actually from Guy Fawkes himself, which I think sums it up. It says, "A desperate disease, right, requires a dangerous remedy." Go on, mate, you're on.
Okay, we're all familiar with the gunpowder plot, I think. Nothing I need to tell you about that you probably don't know.
Right,
I must say, when I was growing up, I was always led to believe that Guy Fawkes was the protagonist in the gunpowder plot. Whereas I'm sure you actually know it wasn't Guy Fawkes, it was a chap called Robert Catesby. And this is where we take up the story when Robert Catesby has his first meeting with the rest of the plotters in the Duck and Drake in London. In the Duck and Drake, on London Strand, whispering voices, high treason planned. Robert Catesby's holding court with Winter, Percy, Wright and Fawkes. A Catholic corps fighting persecution, and they've sworn an oath for retribution. King James I, the Protestant king, to a violent death they will bring. November the 5th, the fateful date, and the opening of Parliament will seal his fate. In a rented vault beneath the House of Lords, 36 barrels of black powder stored. The fellow named Fawkes the fuse will light, and put an end to the Catholic's plight. But an anonymous letter was soon received, and the powder plotters had been deceived. On November the 4th, around the midnight hour, Guy Fawkes was found and dragged to the Tower. 3 days of torture was then endured, until further names had been procured. The Winters, Wrights, Keys and Catesby, Tresham, Bates and Sir Everard Digby, Rookwood, Grant and Thomas Percy. The king would now show no mercy. The plotters fled, but to no avail. 200 soldiers were on their trail. Catesby, Percy and the brothers Wright. They were all shot dead when they stood to fight. The other men were then held until tried. Excepting Tresham, of ill health he died. The rest of the plotters then put on trial, and sentenced to a death, both cruel and vile. Onto the gallows they were all escorted. First they were hanged, and then drawn and quartered. But while still alive, before damnation, each man had suffered a grisly castration. Blood and guts, screams and cries, their scrotums burned before their eyes. Only Guy Fawkes has spared this abuse. He died from the scaffold before they fitted the noose. Their heads then severed and upon spikes displayed, the Protestant faith must be obeyed. Fires were lit, effigies burned. Over 400 years now, and still nothing learned. Nothing learned. Thank you very much.
And we all look forward to seeing you at Hastings Bonfire 2020.
Hey, those were the good old days, weren't they? Well, you know what to do on a Saturday night. Anyway, here's the man here, he's the star of the show tonight. Young Toby.
Do you want me to tell your missus?
She's actually got I've got to admit it to her face. Yeah. Oops, down the neck coat. Yes.
Do you not see the
Just talk amongst yourselves.
When they unveiled the blue plaque in the bit where we put all the barrels a few years ago, and Fun was there and things like that, and they went up in bonfire bit, all the dogs went ape shit. The person vouched for them to get our security. Because they're in their bonfire kit, it's coming gunpowder. Yeah, we also got a select few.
I'm looking forward to being stopped.
Just check your bag before you go rolling. Other than that, it's all right.
This here is a tricone resonator guitar. It has a steel body and a wooden neck, and inside of it 3 spun aluminium cones that make it a mechanically amplified instrument. It is also an enormously democratic instrument. You see, these machine heads here, these tuning pegs, they don't do a great deal. This guitar is tuned almost entirely by collective consciousness of thought. This is very democratic, right? So, if we all believe and think that this guitar is in tune, it will become so, manifest. You did that, folks. That's the revolution right there. Take away all the joys that bind us, and take away what is rightfully ours, and fill your house with ill-gotten fortune, and brick by brick we will take your house down every day. Take a man's right to honest living and try to tie down his soul. One day he'll rise from his bed of frustration, and standing tall, he will take it no more. Now lift your heart to the great tomorrow. Now hold your head high, turn your face to the sun. Feel the wind rising from the cry, sweet child, from your smile we borrow fortitude for to carry on. Now, fill your heart, write your tomorrow. This world is yours and the day it has come. Now lead your heart to the great tomorrow. Now hold your head high, turn your face to the sun. Feel the wind rising from the east now, and fear no man fall.
Son, is it? You just take the weight off.
It's difficult to give a heckle back to the man with the shiniest shoes in the room, you know.
As everybody knows.
So I don't really introduce songs very often, so I'm going to break a rule if that's all right. It seems to be what people are doing. So I spent some time in Catalonia. Anyone know where Catalonia is? Yeah. It's not in Spain. Don't tell them they're in Spain. It's in Europe. That's where it is. So I spent some time there, and what I noticed in a part, you know, anyone been to Barcelona? You know Barcelona? Yeah. In Barcelona, there's a part of town called Gracia. Nice old town. What I noticed about those people there is they're really European. They're open, nice, internationalist people who want people to go there. They just don't want to be part of federal Spain, and they have a different look on things. And they're really good at street graffiti, so I stole a piece of their street graffiti and I made a song out of it, which I'm going to sing now, which is in Catalan. Does anyone speak Catalan?
Yeah, I love it, native.
Really, you speak Catalan?
That's a fib of sorts, isn't it?
Well, if you speak Catalan, I'm sorry if I get it wrong. That's fine. I'm trying to ascertain. I feel much more comfortable if no one speaks Catalan. I can get it wrong and it doesn't really matter. songs. Can I borrow the acoustic guitar that's in this case? Oh, there you are. Is that one?
In the meantime, could I just point out, my shoes might be shinier than yours, but your feet are a whole lot more rhythmic than mine.
Okay, I'll take that as that's a compliment. Okay. Democratically tuned into the key of E.
That guitar's not done by Democracy, it's a PRS.
Okay. Here's a song that I learned when I was about, how old was I? I was like, young, like 12, 11 or 12. I used to go into Woolworths in Herne Bay, where I grew up. You know Herne Bay? You know Woolworths? Remember Woolworths? Remember Herne Bay? I remember Herne Bay. I used to go there. And as a kid, I played guitar, you know, but I didn't really know a lot about music, so I used to pick albums by the front cover. Cassette albums by the front cover. I really like the front cover, you know. So I bought this album. It was a Bob Marley and the Wailers album, and it was a song that I really liked because I could play it. It's just simple chords and it sounds like a one-band thing, and it's called Redemption Song. Yeah. I'd like to play that. If that's all right with everyone. You have to join in. Were pirates, yes they robbed I, and sold I to the merchant ships. Minutes after they took I from the bottomless pit. My end it was made strong by the coming of the Almighty. He flowered in this generation triumphantly. So won't you help me to sing these songs of freedom for all that I have ever had? Our redemption songs. These words of freedom are as so. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery, cause none but ourselves can free our minds. And have no fear for atomic energy, cause none of them, they can't stop the time. How long can they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Some say it's all just a part of it, that we have to fulfill the book. Won't you help me to sing these songs of freedom for all that I have ever had? Our redemption songs. These words of freedom are as so. Hey now, hey now. Oh, that's the fire. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery, cause none but ourselves can free our minds. And have no fear for atomic energy, cause none of them, they can't stop the time. How long can they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Some say it's all just a part of it, that we have to fulfill the book. So won't you help me to sing these songs of freedom for all that I have ever had? Our redemption songs. These words of freedom are as so. Redemption songs.
King size slim. Well, just so that you know, Toby's going to close the evening later. He's going to sing that fabulous song from his album "Find Our Way Out of the Storm," which I think actually is going to become one of the anthems for all time. Fabulous song. Anyway, we're going to finish with that at some stage this evening. Right, let's see what should be happening now. Yeah.
Because I'm doing all the catchy uppings, so it's all on me.
Right. Nick, would you care to entertain us?
Another Nick, you planned your whole film.
I don't sing, for which you should be hugely grateful. We are a non-singing couple. Just to avoid confusion, I'm not Northern Nick, I'm Nick from the North. I'm going to read a couple of things. I'm going to read a poem, and I'm going to read a piece from a work that has a bit of local resonance. It's from a piece from a book that was written by a guy called Robert Trussell, wrote about the First World War, a book called The Ragged Trousered Philanthropist, which a lot of you might have read. Poverty is not caused by men and women getting married. It's not caused by machinery. It's not caused by overproduction. It's not caused by drink or laziness, and it's not caused by overpopulation. It's caused by private monopoly. That's the present system. They've monopolised everything that is possible to monopolise. They've got the whole earth, the minerals in the earth and the streams that water the earth. The only reason they've not monopolised the daylight and the air is that it's not possible to do it. If it were possible to construct huge gasometers and to draw together and compress within them the whole of the atmosphere, it would have been done long ago, and we should have been compelled to work for them in order to get money to buy air to breathe. And if that seemingly impossible thing were accomplished tomorrow, you'd see thousands of people dying for want of air, or of the money to buy it, even as now thousands are dying for want of the other necessities of life. You'd see people going about gasping for breath and telling each other the likes of them could not expect to have air to breathe unless they have the money to pay for it. Most of you here, for instance, would think and say so, even as you think at present that it's right for so people to own the earth. Strictly true. The minerals and the water, which are all just as necessary as is the air. In exactly the same spirit as you now say, well, it's their land, it's their water, it's their coal, it's their iron, so you would say, it's their air. These are their gasometers, and what have the right of the likes of us to expect them to allow us to breathe for nothing? And even while he's doing this, the air monopolist will be preaching sermons on the brotherhood of man. He'll be dispensing advice on Christian duty in the Sunday magazines. He'll give utterance to numerous more or less moral maxims for the guidance of the young. And meantime, all around, people will be dying for want of some of the air that he'll bottled up in his gasometers. And while you're all dragging out a miserable existence, gasping for breath or dying for want of air, if one of your numbers suggests smashing a hole in the side of one of the gasometers, you'll all fall upon him in the name of law and order, and after doing your best to tear him limb for limb, you'll drag him covered with blood in triumph to the nearest police station and deliver him up to justice in the hope of being given a few half-pounds of air for your trouble. That was Robert Trussell with his...
Somebody is at the moment in Conservative Central Office saying, shit, we left something out in the manifesto.
The second thing is written around about the same time. It was written by an American author. It was written in 1914, when actually written by a woman, but I've tweaked one or two words to make it a bit more kind of 21st resonant, if you like. And it's a similar bent, but it was written by an American woman rather than a British man, but it has a similar kind of theme. To sin by silence when we should protest makes cowards of us all. The human race has climbed on protest. Had no voice been raised against injustice, ignorance and prejudice, the Inquisition yet would serve the law and the guillotine decide our least disputes. The few who dare must speak and speak again to right the wrongs of many. Speech, thank God. No vested power in this great day and land can gag or throttle. pen and voice may cry loud disapproval of existing ills, may criticise oppression and condemn the lawlessness of wealth-protecting laws that let the children and childbearers toil to purchase ease for idle millionaires. Therefore I do protest against the boast of independence in this mighty land. Call no chain strong which holds one rusted link. Call no land free that harbours poverty and misery, until the shackles of exploitation are loosed from those less easy than ourselves, until the mother bears no burden save the precious one beneath her heart, until our soil is rescued from the clutch of greed and given back to labour, let no man call this the land of freedom. Well, that was Ella Wheeler Wilcox.
Great stuff.
The last one is another poem written by a woman, but it doesn't specifically have a woman's voice. It's much more up to date. It was written about 100 years later than the Ella Wheeler Wilcox poem, but perhaps shows you that, well, perhaps not little has changed in the last 100 years, perhaps not as much as we would like has changed over 100 years. It's not that you're rich, it's that you're really fucking rich. Like $3 holidays a year is not that dear, really rich. Like you have that ruddy winter tan from sun-soaked Bahamas trips in December, just, you know, to get a bit of heat, really rich. It's that your student loan was put into an ISA, really rich, and uni fees were less than your school fees, really rich, and you've never waited tables or been a till assistant, really rich, because at weekends you drove to see the Hiltons, really rich. So when you say that the change of soup kitchen laws is necessary, that giving a free bowl of soup should be banned because it encourages people to choose a harmless life of freezing cold streets, the humiliation of begging for food, money or help, and the constant danger of sleeping rough, I just can't help thinking I've had enough. I can't even be asked to rhyme if these people are leading the country. Fuck it.
The voice of the soft liberal underbelly. Right, we're going to have a couple of songs and another monologue, and then David, John Rebel, you here? Yeah, and Bob. We'll after that, please. So we're going to do just a little bit, you know, right? No evening of radical stuff would be complete without at least a mention of the miners and the miners' strike, you know. Plus, we could fill 3 evenings with the stuff that's been written.
I heard that. They were big in the 80s, weren't they?
So, we're going to have a couple of songs, and Nick's going to do a monologue about the miners' strike. One of the things I've always thought about, Colin, I come across this song years ago, and it's about pit ponies. And people sort of like, oh, bloody hell, this, that, and the other. But honestly, personally, I think it's a right metaphor for the working man and everything. And also, it's nice that you sing about ponies. My wife's sitting over there, and when I first learned this song, she said, I think it's mawkish and sentimental.
And it is.
Yes, but she says I love it. Anyway, what number is it, John?
Hang on, I'll tell you.
Hymn number?
Endless Working Days. Number 6. Endless Working Days.
Join your snack.
I've got my glasses on.
It's only 7 lines, Tommy, can't read it.
Honest. This is the trouble with casual workers.
Hang on, which one are we doing?
0 hours contract. Endless working days. Endless working days.
Oh, I thought you were doing cold hot dog.
No, not yet. What number is Endless Working Days? 5. And who wrote it? It's on the sheet. There you go. See? My work here is done.
I wrote cold hot dog on Miller.
Anyway, Endless Working Days, tribute to it, folks. Again, we'll start with the chorus. Let's work. You know. In a world where there's no summer, no warming sunshine's rays, in a world where there's no winter, no snowflakes on my face, no gentle spring, no autumn winds, no luscious grass to graze, no babbling brook to drink from, just endless working days. The year is 1892, I'm young with spirits high. My home a meadow by the fields of barley, corn and rye. But master sold me to the men that owned the new coal mine, and now I'm destined to a life amidst the dust and grime. Now I'm put in harness, pulling coal tubs from the seam. Those long lost days of summer, well now they're just a dream. My coat is scarred and dirty, the light fades in my eye. I hope to be released someday, I hope before I die. In a world where there's no summer, no warming sunshine's rays. In a world where there's no winter, no snowflakes on my face. No gentle spring, no autumn winds, no luscious grass to graze. No babbling brook to drink from, just endless working days. Though I'm old and weary, the work gets harder still. I'm longing to be back in my meadow by the hill. They say they've now got engines to pull the tubs of coal, and soon I'll be released from this underground hellhole. Now at last the day's arrived, my shackles they have gone. I'm taken to the pit head, my working days are done. I can feel the breeze of autumn, smell the harvest from the fields. I'm going to my meadow to end my days in peace. In a world where there's a summer with warming sunshine's rays. In a world where there's a winter, feel the snowflakes on my face. A gentle spring and autumn winds and luscious grass to graze. A babbling brook to drink from until my dying day. There you go, endless working day. Whoa! Got a dry eye in the house. Mawkish and sentimental. Where are you, Nick?
I know Orkish, it wasn't Orkish.
Nick, has he gone home? He's out having a smoke, isn't he?
It might have been Klingon, but it wasn't Orkish.
Give him a shout, Toby, for us, would you?
Nick, you're on.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what, I'll sing the song I was going to do, and then Nick will finish with his monologue under my strike.
Oh, he's here.
Oh, he's here.
Yeah,
Right,
right,
there you go. All right, son. Go to it, big boy. Minor strike. Minor strike. Yeah, yeah.
1984. What we lost?
Okay. I was born and bred in Yorkshire, and I was brought up in a mining town. And this one's about the miners' strikes of 1984. And yeah, I witnessed a lot of poverty and a lot of hardship. Don't want to go on about it. I'll be here for half an hour talking about it. I'll just give you the monologue. The miners' strikes of 84. Thatcher and Scargill, all-out war. Towns and villages torn apart. The country's miners lose their heart. Blood and tears are up for trade. Northern families' tempers frayed. The swine arrive from many forces and charge the pickets upon their horses. Arrests are made, lies are told, and no one's digging for the poor man's gold. sorrow and sadness in every community. The cops are covered by total impunity. Charge the innocent, the guilty go free. It's been this way for eternity. Blood and sweat on the cold face, then kicked in the bollocks, a bloody disgrace. The mines are closed, the money's tight, and no one's out on a Saturday night. The community centres are where they feed, the picket line is where they bleed. Thatcher and Scargill are out of their minds. There are no winners, not this time. We have no money, we have no coal. Thousands of miners now on the dole. Into the hills, to the tips of old. We'll dig again for the poor man's gold. We have no props of any kind, just the will to survive and the bloody mind. Several died trying to earn a buck. They dug too deep and ran out of luck. Talk about waste, life being cheap. Now all the families sit and weep. I remember this time at Uber stand. Ralph was digging the Riddle Man. Then all of a sudden, right out of the blue, 5 tons of earth, how do you do? Ralph disappeared beneath the ground. There was no movement, not a sound. We dug him out just as fast as we could. No broken bones, there was no blood. His face was black, his eyes were white. He was still alive, but he'd had a fright. He took a rest, and then his turn. No time to lose, we'd money to earn. Money to earn, thank you, the miners' strikes of 1984.
Hey!
Thank you.
That's Nick's last one for tonight. Thank you, mate. That's brilliant. And he's from Yorkshire. You know, it's amazing what they can do these days with very dodgy raw material, isn't it? There's a Lancastrian sitting over there as well. Yeah, still there. You go.
Blocked his ears.
Well, okay, I'll do you one short one there about the miners' strike. It's number. It's all right, John. I'll tell them what number it is.
6.
It's 6. It's, all right. It's called Coal Not Dole. It's a song by.
Sutcliffe wrote it. I know, I met her.
She's the wife of a Kentish miner, and she wrote this song in about 1984-85. It stands so proud, the wheel so still, a ghost-like figure on the hill. It seems so strange, there is no sound. Now there are no men underground. What will become of this pit yard, where men once laboured, faces hard? So tired and weary, their shift done, never having seen the sun. Will it become a sacred ground, with foreign tourists all around, asking if men once worked here, way beneath this pit head gear? Empty tubs once filled with coal, lined up like men upon the dole. Will they e'er be used again, or left for scrap just like the men? There'll always be a happy hour for those with money, jobs and power. They never realize the hurt they cause to those they treat like dirt. There'll always be a happy hour for those with money, jobs and power. They'll never realize the hurt they cause to those They drink like dirt. Kay Sutcliffe, Coal Not Dark.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Right, now we've got 3 fabulous guests for us now. Johnny, you here? Yeah, good man. You're better off around here, mate, actually. And then John will be followed by David Wolfe, and followed then by the Messiah, Bob Till. Bob Till.
He's not the Messiah.
He's a naughty boy.
He's a naughty boy, yeah. True enough. Yeah.
It's the witchcraft guitar. A conversation with another time. State of the art technologies.
It's not 3 spun aluminium cones
It's not that 50 years.
I've been racking my brains how to introduce this. I wrote this song a few years ago, inspired by a programme about a group of people in the United States called preppies. I thought they were fascinating and paranoid, although I think they would consider themselves to be persecuted, so it depends on your perspective. I thought it might be relevant because they are protesting, it's just we may not quite see eye to eye with their cause and their aims. The song's called Storm Coming Down. I need to issue a disclaimer that the first probably 2/3 of the song, the sentiments expressed don't reflect those of the authors. So please do bear that in mind before you start throwing rotten tomatoes. You throw rotten tomatoes if you think that the song's crap, but don't, not for that reason. So Storm Coming Down. Storm coming down, they say, there's a storm coming down. Storm coming down, they say, there's a storm coming down. Wake up, America, can you not see? Hordes of terrorists coming over the sea, taking our country, taking our land. It's time to draw a line in the sand. Storm coming down, they say, there's a storm coming down. Storm coming down, they say, there's a storm coming down. The liberals and communists are on the attack. The Second Amendment they want to take back. Our right to bear arms is given by God. We must defend ourselves from the great mob. Storm coming down, see, there's a storm coming down. Storm coming down, they say, there's a storm coming down. Outsiders out and insiders in. We will decide who's enemy or king. It's time to be counted. It's time to stand up. Because the apocalypse is about to erupt. Storm coming down. They say there's a storm coming down. Storm coming down. They say there's a storm coming down. We are the righteous, we know we're the chosen race. We have our signs, the Almighty don't make mistakes. We'll get in our bunkers, we'll be reborn, and God will bless our new dawn. Storm coming down, they say there's a storm coming down. Storm coming down, they say there's a storm carry guns. Do you think you are sacred? You're spreading hatred. Can you not see? Can you not see? You're tied up in knots in the land of the free. You're tied up in knots in the land of the free. Storm coming down, they say. There's a storm coming down. Storm coming down, they say. There's a storm coming down. Storm coming down, they say. There's a storm coming down. Storm coming down, they say. There's a storm coming down.
I'm not so bloody with being up, so carry on then.
Okay, this is a slightly more conventional protest song. It's a
Song
Woody
of
Guthrie.
social significance. Leaving us on.
Sorry.
That's what you sing. He sings protest songs.
I'm going to write a song about the fact that they're called protest songs.
Anyway, it's a Woody Guthrie. It's one of the Woody Guthrie Dust Bowl ballads, and it's called "I Ain't Got No Home." Partial capos. They are a bugger.
Terrible disease.
It is a terrible disease. That's better.
For or against them?
I'm very for them, but they need to be put on right. Especially when you're performing live in the front of
Nobody
an
noticed.
elite group of people.
Sounds like a sex education talk.
They should teach you how to put on a partial capo. Yes.
I put a cap on a banana as a practice.
Wrong place to put a capo. I'll start again if you don't mind.
We thought that's what it was meant to sound like.
I could have got away with them, could I? I ain't got no home, I'm just roaming around. I'm just a rambling worker, I roam from town to town, and the police make it hard wherever I may go. And I ain't got no home in this world anymore. My brothers and my sisters are all stranded on this road, a hot and dusty road that 1,000,000 feet have trod. Rich men took my home and pulled me from my door, and I ain't got no home in this world anymore. Was farming on the shares, and always I was poor. My crops I lay unto the banker's store. My wife took ill and died upon the cabin floor, and I ain't got no home in this world anymore. Now as I look around, it's mighty plain to see this world is such a strange and a funny place to be. Gambling man is rich and the working man is poor, and I ain't got no home in this world anymore. And throughout all the ages, the story's still the same. If you're poor or different, you'll likely get the blame. And the folly of the rich is always paid for by the poor, and I
extra special treat for you now. There's a young man sitting there with a curly moustache and a curly beard, Mr. David Wolfe. And you're going to sing us a song, David.
I'd like to make the point that there are two sides to every story, every call.
There's the right one and the wrong one.
And the truth.
And tonight I am personating one of the most egregious bastards of capitalism.
Good man, I like that.
Feel free to join in. Feel free to boo and hiss.
Not on the song sheet, this one, but you'll soon pick it up.
And if you're going to throw anything, would you make it folding money?
Or alcohol.
No, just folding money. I'll do that.
You're not that fussy.
Oh, I'm the man, the very fat man that waters the workers' beer. I'm the man, the very fat man who waters the workers' beer. And what do I care if it makes them ill? If it makes them terribly queer. I've a car, a yacht and an aeroplane, and I waters the workers' beer. Now, when I waters the workers' beer, I puts in strychnine, some methylated spirits, and a dash of kerosene. With such a brew, so terribly strong, it makes them terribly queer. But I reaches out for me watering can and I waters the workers' beer. Oh, I'm the man, the very fat man who waters the workers' beer. And I'm the man, the very fat man who waters the workers' beer. And what do I care if it makes them ill? If it makes them terribly queer. I've a car, a yacht and an aeroplane, and I waters the workers' beer. Now a drop of good beer is good for a man when he's thirsty, tired and hot. I sometimes has a drop myself from a very special pot. But a strong and healthy working class is the thing that I most fear. So I reaches for me watering can and I waters the workers' beer. Oh, I'm the man, the very fat man who waters the workers' beer. And I'm the man, the very fat man who waters the workers' beer. And what do I care if it makes them ill? If it makes them terribly queer. I've a car, a yacht and an aeroplane, and I waters the workers' beer. Now my name is Mr. Shepherd, and this here's Mr. Neame.
And where we come from, Faversham, they call us Shit and Scream. We swear our beer is not that bad. It's far better than what you might hear. But we've got to galvanise watering cans and we waters the workers' beer. Oh, we're the men, the very fat men that waters the workers' beer. Oh, we're the men, the very fat men that waters the workers' beer. And what do we care if it makes them ill? If it makes them terribly queer. We've a car, a yacht and an aeroplane and we waters the workers' beer. Now, ladies fair, beyond compare, be you maid or wife, please spare a thought to two who live such a wandering life. For water rates are frighteningly high, and mess is frightfully dear, and there isn't the profit there used to be in watering the workers' beer. Oh, we're the men, the very fat men that water the workers' beer. Oh, we're the men, the very fat men that waters the workers' beer. And what do we care if it makes them ill?
If it makes them terribly queer, we've a car, a yacht and an aeroplane, and we waters the workers' beer.
David Wolf! Hey!
I worked here when we got a water meter fishing. Me and my
Well
daughter
done,
said
David.
and Price.
Excellent.
And Price how much we would
Could I
watch
just
if we were
divorce
washing
myself
down the
from the
beer.
sentiments expressed in that poem?
Yes,
Apart from two particular gentlemen's beer this evening that did get spat in. And just to say, it's entirely coincidence that the next performer is the landlord of the Albion.
It is funny what like David, we were talking to David and Bob about doing that song, and David turned to Bob and he said Shepherd and Neem, and Bob and him in unison went shit and scream.
No!
Apparently that's what I have never ever heard that in all my life. And David was saying, don't worry, he said, everybody will go, yeah, shit and scream. Not a bleeding carrot. Anyway, come on Bob, you're on.
I think this is unfair on the Shepherd family that were bought out in the 1700s. Why label them with the new family's bad reputation, eh?
Thank you for that. Brilliant, David.
You'll be defending Mr. McDonald.
So this is essentially a song about redistribution of wealth, I suppose, in this way, isn't it? But the fact that it has to be about a highwayman called Captain Grant, who takes from the rich to give to the poor, isn't his thing? So it has many verses, and I am trying to learn it along, so bear with me. But if you can stamp along as we go along like this, it will be good. That's nice. Bit slower. Nice Oh, my name is Captain Grant, and I am bound to say I'm one of them bold heroes found on the highway with a brace of pistols and me bright hilt sword. Stand and deliver was always my word. Oh, doing the dirty art I always did go, taking from the rich, for the poor did no harm. So I went collecting, had me cash secured. One half I spent and other I gave to the poor. When I saw poor people starve, hungry and dry, sought out their wanting and I did them supply. In cheerful company I spent me store, but when it's gone I'd go boldly collecting more. Down to Edinburgh jail then I was passed along. There I was confined till my trial came on. I was sentenced to be hanged for sheltering, although I had no hand in that robbery. Before the day had dawned that I was to be hanged, burst from the prison doors and away I did run, and I escaped through the castle gates, and I was in danger all along the way. Down from Edinburgh jail then I made my way good, took up my lodgings at night in a wood, but there was a woman who did me betray, and I was surrounded as asleep there I lay. I was surrounded, away I could not get, seized me pistols, but me powder was wet, and in me ill fortune I gave myself up to that noted hero, Lord Baccy take car. Down to Edinburgh jail then I was passed along. There I was confined till my trial came on. I was sentenced to be hanged for sheltering, although I had no hand in that robbery. Well, men now do forgive me, I'm pardoned. You see, I took from the rich, the poor to relieve. God bless me wife and child, may they never want. Lord have mercy on the soul of poor Captain Grant. You know my name is Captain Grant.
Hey! I tell you, there's some feat of memory that. It really is. It's incredible. It's, okay, right. We'll do you a few. Where are we, Nick?
I do. It's you from here on in.
Yes, yeah, this is, you're doing...
The Monday fellas, round 4, general knowledge.
In that case, we're fucked. Right, yeah, lead on, mate.
Yeah, Tom's going to give us a sequence of songs in a minute or two, rather more modern in character. So here's a little bit of background to those. We start again with the heroes of the Tory party. Sir Keith Joseph. Making the rich poorer does not make the poor richer, but it does make the state stronger, and it does increase the power of officials and politicians. Power more menacing, more permanent, and less useful than the market power within the rule of law. Inequality of income can only be eliminated at the cost of freedom. The pursuit of income equality will turn the country into a totalitarian slough. But now let us hear from Anarian Bevan, the Minister of Health in the Attlee government and the decisive agent in the inception of the National Health Service. I've slightly updated this for contemporary relevance. No amount of cajolery and no attempts at ethical and social seduction can eradicate from my heart a deep burning hatred for the Tory party.
It's better.
So far as I am concerned, they are lower than vermin. They condemn millions of first-class people to semi-starvation. And now the Tories are pouring out money in propaganda of all sorts and are hoping by this organised mass suggestion to eradicate from our minds all memory of what we went through. But I warn you, young men and women, and not so young and not so... do not listen to what they're saying now. Do not listen to the seductions of Boris Johnson. He is a very good salesman. If you're selling shoddy stuff, you have to be a good salesman. But I warn you, they have not changed. Or if they have, they are slightly worse than they were before. I'm going to go off script just for a moment.
Off piste?
No script. I'm pissed already. Now everybody here, of course, won't confuse Anarian Bevan with Ernest Bevin, another member of the Attlee government. But he too was a committed socialist. And the story goes that he was once standing at a urinal when one of his private secretaries, Frank Giles, was standing at the next one. "This is it, Giles," he said, "the socialist dream. The means of production in the hands of the people."
Nick Bennett, ladies and gentlemen. Well done, mate. Okay, we'll sing some of these in no particular order.
What people?
Let's do number 9, Hard Times of Old England. Everybody knows that. Yeah.
Come all you faithful and see is what I have.
Come all working people who travel along, and pray come and tell me where the work is all gone. A long time I have travelled and cannot find some, and it's all the hard times of old England. In old England, very hard times. Provisions you buy from a shop, it is true. But if you've got no money, there's none there for you. So what are poor folks and their families to do? And it's all the hard times of old England. In old England, very hard times. You go to the shop and you ask for a job. They answer you there with a shake or a nod. It's enough to make poor folks to turn out and rob. And it's all the hard times of old England. In old England, very hard times. You'll see working people just walking the street from morning till night for employment to seek, and scarcely they have any shoes to their feet. And it's all the hard times of old England, in old England, very hard times. Soldiers and sailors just home from the war, been fighting for king and for country for sure. Come home to be starved, far better have stayed where they were. And it's all the hard times of old England, in old England, very hard times. Now it's good. Come all working people and stand to your ground. If we all join together, we can turn things around. Freedom is turning the world upside down. And it's all the good times of old England, in old England, very good times. Come all working people and stand to your ground. If we all join together, we can turn things around. Freedom is turning the world upside down. And it's all the good times of old England, in old England, very good times. Hard times of old England. Hey, thank you. I'm just picking these out there as a fancy, basically. There's a lovely song here. There's a lovely song here. Number 10, Bring Out the Banners. John Warner is an Australian man, songwriter, but also a socialist. Kind of shows the kind of universality of the struggle, basically. There's one line in the song. There's one line in the song which actually only makes sense if you're Australian, as I said, because he's Australian, and it's we won the 8-hour working day. We won our right to honest pay. Obviously, we haven't got that over here, but they have in Australia, so maybe that's the place to go. Who knows? Anyway, so Bring Out the Banners. There's a bloke sitting over there, rather hairy. Like a bit deaf.
The wizened old man.
A wizened old man, that's it. Now, John.
I can't hear you! It's scandal!
Yeah. John normally goes not only to the Tolpuddle do every year, but he also goes to the Durham Miners Gala. Thank you. All this bloody gala nonsense. Anyway, it's and this is
Gala where I'm from as well, John.
This is a kind of standard at that event. Here we go. Like faded photo in a dream, a locomotive under steam rolls with the ranks of marching feet and Union banners in the street. Bring out the banners once again, you Union women, Union men, that all around may plainly see the power of our unity. I've seen these banners richly made, with symbols fair of craft and trade, the Union's name in red and gold, their aspirations printed bold. Bring out the banners once again, you Union women, Union men, that all around may plainly see the power of our unity. bakers, smiths and cooks, stevedores with cargo hooks, declare their union strong and proud, rank on rank before the crowd. Bring out the banners once again, you union women, union men, that all around may plainly see the power of our unity. They won the 8-hour working day, they won our right to honest pay. Victorious their banners shone, how dare we lose what they have won? Bring out the banners once again, you union women, union men, though all around may plainly see the power of our unity. Today, when those who rule divide, we must be standing side by side. Glorious our banners shone, bring out those banners once again. Bring out the banners once again, you union women, union men, though all around may plainly see the power of our unity. Lady. Thank you. I'll do number 8 now. Again, it's a famous song, Poverty Knock. And I'm going to sing this. Jan, my darling wife Jan, is from Lancashire.
Take that, Yorkshire.
That's it. I should also say, by the way, that's
Cheshire, so
my lovely daughter sitting over there, and that's my son sitting there. South London stuff. However, the only reason I mention it is Joe has 3 names, and his third one is a Naira. So, yeah. I'll also tell you the story as well. There's no secrets in here. Jan is dyslexic, and she wanted Joe to be called a Naira. Okay, so I said to her, spell it. So she said, no, we'll have Joe first. Anyway. But anyway, as I said, this song.
2 hours in London, you couldn't spell yet.
I said this song is from Lancashire. It's about the mills up there, and Jan learned it at school. You know, it was kind of standard thing up there in the schools, this song. And so she got me to sing it. And bless her, she said, you know, it's a fabulous song, and Tom, you sing it really, really well, but she said it don't sound the same in a Cockney accent. You need a northern accent. So,
Few things do, Tom.
here we go. Up every morning at 5. I wonder how. No, your tune's going wrong there, Tom. Up every morning at 5. I wonder that we're still alive. Tired and yawning in the cold morning, it's back to the dreary old drive. Oh dear, we're gonna be late. The gaffer is stood at the gate. We're out of pocket, our wages he'll dock it. We'll have to buy grub on the slate. Singing poverty, poverty not. Come on! Me loom is a saying all day. Poverty, poverty knock. Gaffers too skinny to pay. Poverty, poverty knock. Keeping one eye on the clock.
For I know I can guttle when I hear me shuttle go poverty, poverty knock.
Oh dear me, poor head it sings. I should have woven 3 strings, but me threads they keep breaking, me poor back is aching. Oh God, how I wish I had wings. Sometimes a shuttle flies out and gives some poor woman a clout. There she lies bleeding and nobody's heeding. No, who's gonna carry her out? Singing poverty, poverty knock. Me loom is a saying all day. Poverty, poverty knock. Gaffer's too skinny to pay. Poverty, poverty knock. Keeping one eye on the clock, for I know I can guttle when I hear me shuttle go poverty, poverty knock. Tuna should tackle me loom, but he'd rather sit on his bum, 'cause he's far too busy a-courting our Lizzie. I just cannot get him to come. Our Lizzie's easily led. I reckon he takes her to bed. She always was skinny, now look at her pinny. It's just about time they was wed. Singing poverty, poverty knock. Me loom is a saying all day. Poverty, poverty knock. Gaffer's too skinny to pay. Poverty, poverty knock. Keeping one eye on the clock, for I know I can guttle when I hear me shuttle go poverty, poverty knock. Hey! Thank you very much. Thank you. There's a couple I want to see.
No weaver ever sang shuttle, Tom Kenny. Shuttle.
You know that'll hurt a man, don't you?
Because that's the thing that matters in that song.
Okay. Right, I'm going to do you 2 more. I'm going to sing Miner's Life Goes Rolling Home, and then Toby, please, gets out the storm, find a way out of the storm. So, Miner's Life Goes, it's normally known as Miner's Life.
They literally need people to die on the shuttle if they got like concussed or something.
Now, on
Kids
my
under
sheet,
thing time
it is actually number 11, but it's got no 11 written on it. Anyway, there you go. Miner's life is like a sailor for the ship to cross the waves. Every day his life's in danger, still he ventures being brave. Watch for rocks, they're falling daily. Careless miners always fail. Keep your hand upon your wages and your eye upon the scale. Union miners stand together, do not heed the owner's tale. Keep your hand upon your wages and your eye upon the scale. You've been docked and docked again, boy. You've been loading 2 for 1. What have you to show for working since your mining has begun? Worn out boots and worn out miner, lungs of stone and children pale. Keep your hand upon your wages and your eye upon the scale. Union miners stand together, occasion, bear in the memory. Keep that password in your mind. God provides for every worker when in union they combine. Stand like men and link together. Victory for you will prevail. Keep your hand upon your wages and your eye upon the scale. Union mind and stand together. Do not heed the owner's tale. Keep your hand upon your wages and your eye upon the scale. Union mind and stand together. Do not heed the owner's tale. Keep your hand upon your wages and your eye upon the scale. Minus, I'll do this last one and then Tony, this is a particular favourite of mine. Not least actually because I actually learned a song in this pub when we moved down here 10 years ago. This is one of the first songs I learned down here. It's Rolling Home, it's number 12, and Sian and her band, Rattlebag, sing this. So please, if you join in with the choruses, that'd be really good, yeah? Song by John Tams, I should say. Fabulous songwriter. He's the actor in, if anybody watches Sharp, then John Tams is Daniel, with the long black hair. Yeah. Round goes the wheel of fortune. Don't be afraid to ride. There's a land of milk and honey, it's on the other side. There'll be peace and there'll be plenty. You'll never need to roam. When we go rolling home, when we go rolling home, rolling home. When we go rolling home, when we go rolling, rolling, when we go rolling home. The gentry in their fine array may prosper night and morn, while we unto their fields do go to plough and sow their corn. The rich may steal the power, but the glory's ours alone. When we go rolling home, when we go rolling home, rolling home. When we go rolling home, when we go rolling, rolling, when we go rolling home. The frost is on the hedgerow, the icy winds do blow, while we poor weary labourers strive through the driving snow. Our dreams fly up to glory, up where the lark has flown. When we go rolling home, when we go rolling home, rolling. contentment, the winter of despair, the journey to contentment is set with trap and snare. Stand to and stand together, your labour's all your own. When we go rolling home, when we go rolling home, rolling home, when we go rolling home, when we go rolling, rolling, when we go rolling home. So pass the bottle round and let the toast go free. Here's a health to every labourer, wherever they may be. Fair wages now and ever, let's reap what we have sown. When we go rolling home, when we go rolling home, rolling home, when we go rolling home, when we go rolling, rolling, when we go rolling home, rolling home, when we go rolling home, when we go rolling, rolling, when we go rolling home. Rolling home, John. Please. Thank you. Thank you.
Before Toby plays us out, thanks all for coming. Thanks for singing along, contributing. We might do another of these. It's been quite fun. Just before we go, can we give a huge round of applause for providing such a great evening's entertainment, getting some great guests in to contribute. It's been a really good, stirring evening. So big round of applause for Tom.
Thank you very much. Over the toast. I'll just stand there.
Like Lord of the Rings. The Lord of the Rings is sort of like women as well.
The Hobbit's just going to be like really
I should perhaps just explain to you the reason young Tippler is up here and the reason I'm up here is Toby recorded this.
Wake up!
Was it your last album? Sorry, John. Was it your last album or the one before?
No, one before.
Yeah. Anyway, Bob and I and loads of other very talented people used to sing with Doc Savage in a gospel group called Doc Savage and the Sinners, and we recorded the backing track to this on Toby's album. At your convenience, boys.
Look, I've got bookends.
this tune, I'm going to need your help. Will you help me out? Okay. You will notice that I've already laid down the groove. That's a technical. I've already laid it down. How's everyone feel about the groove? You all right? Yeah. I feel like James Brown. Like the groove, yeah.
Take it to the bridge.
Not yet. I will, but not yet. For this song, I need your help with the vocals. You're going to help me out singing? How do everyone feel about singing? I need you to sing 3 simple words after me. These words are, may we find. Like we search and then we find. En français, c'est nous trouver. Is everyone ready? Yeah. We'll do a rehearsal if everyone is ready now. Is everyone ready for a rehearsal? Watch out now. Hey! May we find.
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 I think we're going to be all right.
Joe's enjoying it.
That's good. That's good. What's the first one? Oh, I don't know. I'll change this. What's the first verse? Oh, yeah. Now they will send us out to fight in the name of freedom, for queen and country. So they will say, you will never see the crown with the boots upon the ground. May we find our way out of the storm. Help me out now. Now may we find.
May we find.
Now may we find.
May we find.
Now may we find our way out of the storm. For united we will stand, but divided we will fall. May we find our way out of the storm. We're doing okay. How good are you at editing on the video? Because we can cut out that first verse. I'm just thinking, my verse 44, we'll have it down. Okay, verse 2, stop fucking about. Just play the song, stop talking to me. Okay. Second verse.
That's the groove.
That's the groove? No, I can't. Stop it now. Sing the second verse. Now they will require from us proof before we can borrow. And they will require from us more in return. They have never had the gold, it's just a tax against our soul. May we find our way out of the storm. Help me out, say, now may we find.
May we find.
May we find.
May we find.
May we find our way out of the storm. For united we will stand, but divided we may fall. May we find our way out of the storm. Watch out, say, now may we find.
May we find.
May we find.
May we find.
May we find our way out of the storm. For united we will stand, but divided we will fall. May we find our way out of the storm. Oh, no. I would like to take this opportunity to ask for a big round of applause. It's not for me, but it's for my good friend and me padre. Mr. Tom Kelly, please say it. Everyone loves Bob too, right? Okay. Last chance for So I've heard tell that this rebel evening, this rebel weekend may become a regular thing. How's everyone feel about that? Yeah! Just say it.
We will live down on the first Friday of every
That is
month.
democracy. A crowd of people say yes, then we're doing it.
Monday.
Just turn up on Wednesday and that's the way it is.
Just get it done.
Last chance now.
Chancellor tells us that we can power our lives for free.
Raw power for the advancement of humanity. That thanks us when they die. They want to be richer than you and I. May we find our way out of the storm. Help me out, say. Now may we find, may we find, now may we find, may we find, now may we find our way out of the storm. By united we will stand, by divided we may fall. May we find our way out of the storm. Watch out, say. Now may we find, may we find, now may we find, may we find, now may we find our way out of the storm. For united we will stand, but divided we may fall. May we find our way out of the storm.
Yeah! Big time steak. Battle to Lady Lorena. Fire now. I'm not joking, I'm bullshitting. That song is still going to be sung in 1,500 years' time. It really is, you know what I mean?
Underwater, maybe.
Anyway, thank you very, very much for coming. Thank you very, very much for joining in. And it's a little bit of a late night, so perhaps we'll start the revolution today after tomorrow. If that's good night, and thank you very much. And I should say, what?
I'm away for the weekend. Can you do it Monday?
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. We should actually.
December the 12th.
We should actually thank Nick and Nicole.
Yes.
Basically. I do have to say to the publican, to actually have the sheer bollocks to be prepared to do it is quite something.
Only one of us actually has bollocks, Tom.
And it's not him!
Do you want one? Do you want one?
Well, one bollock.
Classic socialist. German single bollock socialist joke there. Thank you.
I've got nothing. There's nothing on there to follow what. No, it's right. I'll tell you what we'll do. Where's John Rebel will know this, but we'll do. It's on the song sheet, so we'll do it. Joe Hill. Yeah. John Hill. Yeah, love it. Yeah. Great song.
Can you do it in the style of Paul Robeson?
Can you? Is more the point.
He can't, no.
No. But neither can I do it in the style of Joan Baez either. So probably somewhere surely between the two. Yeah? I dreamed I saw. No, I'm singing it to the tune of Can't Get Yeah. Stop. I'm sorry. I dreamed I saw Joe Hill last night, alive as you and me. Says I, but Joe, you're 10 years dead. I never died, said he. I never died, said he. In Salt Lake City, Joe, says I, to him standing by my bed. They framed you on a murder charge, says Joe, but I ain't dead. Says Joe, but I ain't dead. The copper bosses killed you, Joe. They shot you, Joe, says I. Takes more than guns to kill a man, says Joe, I did not die. Says Joe, I did not die. So standing there as big as life and smiling with his eyes, said Joe, what they could never kill went on to organize. Went on to organize. Joe Hill ain't dead, he said to me. Joe Hill ain't never died. Where working folk are out on strike, Joe Hill is at their side. Joe Hill is at their side. From San Diego up to Maine, in every mine and mill, where workers strike and organize, it's there you'll find Joe Hill. It's there you'll find Joe Hill. I dreamed I saw Joe Hill last night, alive as you and me. Says I, but Joe, you're 10 years dead. I never died, said he. I never died, said he.
That's your lot. Thank you very much. Thank you. Bob Clipper, Toby Durrell, David Wolf, John Ravenlock is there. Anybody else, and you lot. What did he used to say on the old musical? And most especially, yourselves.
Guys, last orders at the bar. We are going to close the bar in 5 minutes.